Sea. Dominican Republic. Part 1. The Dominican Republic is known for its 1,000 miles of unspoiled natural beaches. However, there is no substitute for experiencing the magic of the island from underwater. There's a whole world to explore that you simply can't see from the shore. Coral reefs, caves, shipwrecks and multicolored fish and fauna are all waiting to be explored. It's no wonder that the Dominican Republic is known as one of the best places to dive in the Caribbean region. With crystal clear waters and vibrantly colored marine life, you will never run out of things to discover. Diving from the Hickory to La Boya and in the Bahamas, La Caleta, Dominican Republic. This presentation is a tribute to my brother Guillermo, who in a short time has become a professional photographer under the sea. It is also a tribute to the Dominican Republic, whose natural beauty, under the sea, is incomparable, and is magic. Underwater photos, with a camera, XZ1. Olympus. Guillermo Card, photographer. In Santo Domingo, divers are right by La Caleta, the underwater national park. One of the best on the continent, it has a depth of 600 feet and a little over 600 square miles. The park begins at the Cave of the Swallows and extends to Cauceda Point, with an irregular topography with 3 well-defined terraces to explore. La Caleta is a beautiful natural pool, close to the coasts with several sunken boats. One of these is the Hickory. Located at a depth of 60 feet, this ship was sunk in 1984 by a group of underwater investigators who wanted to create an artificial reef to encourage marine life. There are also 3 other boats to see, El Lemon and the Captain Alcina, around 100 feet down, and the Don Kiko, at a depth of about 190 feet. La Caleta has a variety of coral. This attracts an incredible number of multicolor fish that use the coral colonies as a refugee and source of food. Nearby, there's an impressive system of karstic rocks, including a meandering network of underwater caverns and tunnels, which is great for experienced divers. The Hickory. This boat was used in the 70s by the American expedition led by Captain Tracy Bowden, for the rescue of the archaeological treasures, of the wrecks of the galleons, Our Lady of Conception and Count Tolosa on the shores of the Banco de la Plata, on the north coast of the Dominican Republic. Once sunk, the Hickory became a great attraction for diving. It is fully covered with soft corals and sponges, and is the residence of many colorful reef fish. Bahamas. This diving site is the top of a mountain that is covered virtually with all types of corals and sponges, is a perfect place for macro underwater photography. Its highest point is 60 feet, or 18 meters deep, and its bottom are 120 feet, or 38 meters. Here is usually found a lot of southern stingray. Its highest point is at 18 meters and reaches up to 38 meters. La Boya. Its sand oil rig sunk as an artificial reef, that is perhaps the place with the highest concentration of reef fish. Here you can find almost all the species that inhabit the reefs of the Caribbean. In La Boya was seen the lionfish, this being the first time that this type of fish is located in the southern of the island. The Sergeant Major or Piantane is a large, colorful damselfish. It earns its name from its brightly striped sides, which are reminiscent of the insignia of a military sergeant major. It grows to a length of about 15 centimeters, 6 inches. Sergeant majors are found throughout the tropical reaches of the Atlantic, including off the south coast of the United States, Central America, East and South America, including the island Bonaire and Western Africa. They are often found on coral reefs at depths of between 1 and 12 meters. They are popular aquarium fish, although their aggressively territorial nature can pose problems if not closely watched. Four-eyed butterflyfish are deep-bodied and laterally compressed, with a single dorsal fin, and a small mouth, with tiny, bristle-like teeth. The body is light gray, sometimes with a yellowish hue, and dark forward-pointing chevrons. The ventral fins are yellow. The species gets its common name from a large dark spot on the rear portion of each side of the body. This spot is surrounded by a brilliant white ring, resembling an eye. A black vertical bar on the head runs through the true eye, making it hard to see. This pattern may result in a predator confusing the back end of the fish for the front end. The four-eyed butterflyfish's first instinct when threatened is to flee, putting the false eye spot closer to the predator than the head. Most predators aim for the eyes, and this false eye spot tricks the predator into believing that the fish will flee tail first. When escape is not possible, a four-eyed butterflyfish will sometimes turn to face its aggressor, head lowered and spines fully erect, like a bull about to charge. This may serve to intimidate the other animal, or may remind the predator that the butterflyfish is much too spiny to make a comfortable meal. The spotted trunkfish is a member of the family Astracidae. It can be found in reefs throughout the Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean as well as the southeastern Atlantic Ocean. The species gets its name from the black spots it has covered over its yellow/golden body. The spotted trunkfish, like all trunkfish of the genus Lactophrys, secretes a colorless toxin from glands on its skin when touched. The toxin is only dangerous when ingested, so there's no immediate harm to divers. Predators, however, as large as nurse sharks, can die as a result of eating a trunkfish. A sole earfish blackbur facing the camera, and in the background, a sergeant major and the surroundings of the Hickory, a 134-foot treasure salvage vessel that sunk in 1986. The Hickory is home to diverse marine life, with hundreds of yellow tube sponge clusters covering its surfaces. The sole earfish blackbur can be located in a marine environment within a subtropical climate. They live in reef-associated waters. The sole earfish blackbur is recorded to be found in the western Atlantic, Bahamas, northern Gulf of Mexico, West Indies, the Caribbean Sea, Cape Verde, Principe, Ascension, and St. Helena Islands. The biology of this species states that they can be found in coral reefs within deep waters. They are a nocturnal species. They mainly eat plankton. This species is occasionally marketed, but it is not popularly bought as a fish to eat. It is a bright red color along with a black bar behind its head. It also is trimmed with white lines on its fins. This species is also found swimming upside down at times. The yellowtail snapper are typically caught in 30-120 feet of water on and around reefs and other structure. The most common method of catching them is with hook and line, and the use of frozen chum to attract the fish. The chum is typically a 5-pound block of leftover ground fish parts. The chum is placed into a mesh bag or metal basket in the water, and as the chum slowly melts, small pieces of fish will drift out and down towards the bottom, where the yellowtails typically feed. The chum attracts the fish, and keeps them near the boat for extended periods of time, as well. Light tackle is the generally accepted means of catching yellowtail snapper. Typically, the fish are relatively wary of higher test or thicker line, and larger hooks. Most fish caught by anglers range from 8 inches to 14 inches, although catches to 16 inches are not uncommon. Catches larger than 17 inches are uncommon, and catches over 20 inches are considered rare. Yellowtail snapper can be caught on a variety of baits, including both live and frozen shrimp, squid, and a variety of live and frozen minnows or smaller bitefish. They can be caught on artificial baits and lures, but live or frozen bait is preferred. Yellowtail tend to be wary of fish, and the appearance of larger predators. such as dolphins or sharks, can scare off schools until the offender leaves the area. Yellowtail snapper is highly prized for its light, flaky meat and is considered by some to be one of the best of the snapper family. The big eye, glass eye, or blotched big eye is a common nocturnal predator on the reef. Big eyes are deep-bodied fishes, narrow and compressed laterally with large eyes, small scales and upturned mouths. This highly successful species is found in all tropical oceans. Glass eyes are common on patch reefs and on the outer reefs of oceanic islands. They also occur in oceanic waters on shelves, banks and seamounts. This species remains close to cover or hidden within caves during the day when it is unemployed. At this time its normal red coloration may fade to blotches while it is resting or asleep. However, an hour or more after nightfall they emerge from their shelters to feed over the seafloor, and over deep water offshore, on a wide variety of benthic crustaceans that have risen from the seafloor to feed. They also feed on large planktonic species such as shrimp, octopus, stomatopods, squids and cuttlefish that have migrated to the surface from the deep scattering layer. Numbered as one of the top nocturnal predators, big eyes are occasionally associated with chihuahua poisoning. The Christmas tree worm is aptly named. Both its common and Latin names refer to the two chromatically hued spiral structures, the most common feature seen by divers. Actually, the multicolored spirals are merely the worm's highly derived respiratory structures. S. giganteus is similar to most tube-building polychaetes. It has a tubular, segmented body lined with cheta, small appendages that aid the worm's mobility. Because it does not move outside its tube, this worm does not have any specialized appendages for movement or swimming. The worm's most distinct features are two crowns shaped like Christmas trees. These are highly modified prostomial palps, which are specialized mouth appendages. Each spiral is composed of feather-like tentacles called radioles, which are heavily ciliated and cause any prey trapped in them to be transported to the worm's mouth. While they are primarily feeding structures, S. giganteus also uses its radioles for respiration. Hence, the structures commonly are called gills. One major difference between Christmas tree worms and the closely related Sabellina fan worms is that the latter do not have any specialized body structures to plug their tube holes when they withdraw into them. S. giganteus, like other members of its family, possess a modified radiole, usually called the operculum, that it uses to secure its hole when withdrawn into its tube. As an annelide, S. giganteus possesses a complete digestive system, and has a well-developed closed circulatory system. Like other annelids, these worms possess well-developed nervous systems with a central brain and many supporting ganglia, including pedal ganglia, unique to the polychaeta. Like other polychaetes, S. giganteus excrete with fully developed nephridia. When they reproduce, they simply shed their gametes straight into the water where the eggs and spermatozoa become part of the zooplankton to be carried by the currents. The knobby brain coral is a massive coral that either forms hemispherical domes or, particularly in areas of high wave action, forms plates and encrusts the seabed. It can grow to a diameter of about 1.3 meters, 4 feet 3 in. The surface of the dome usually has a number of bulges or knobs, but this species is not easy to distinguish from the symmetrical brain coral, Diploria strigosa, which tends to have a smoother outline. The surface consists of sharply delineated, convoluted ridges with valleys in between. There is no trough-like groove in the top of the ridge, as is the case in the rather similar grooved brain coral, Diploria labyrinthiformis. The coral polyps are strung along the valley bottoms, each sitting in a little stony cup or carlet. The sides of these have minute walls called septae which come in 4 different sized cycles. They extend outside the correlates as costae that join one correlate to another but are discontinuous in this species, another distinguishing factor. The color of the coral is usually some shade of yellowish or greenish-brown, and is caused by the presence of symbiotic dinoflagellates called zooxanthellae in the coral's tissues. The glass bee is coral reef-associated species that is found in tropical climates. It is a schooling species that hovers above the substratum mostly in deeper drop-off, and spur and groove habitats. It is also found near large coral columns and heads. Fireworms sting if touched. Their bodies is covered with fine, white, bristles that break if touched. They become embedded in human skin and produce a substance that is irritating. The bearded fireworm is usually found on reefs, under stones in rocky areas of the sea, and on some mud bottoms. It is encountered throughout the tropical western Atlantic and Pacific. It can be found near ocean reefs and at most 150 meters deep. The fireworm primarily eats detritus, but also can eat coral and anemones. Fireworm detail, which shows the silk in fleshy extensions that appear on either side paropodium calls. The kind of tentacles posing on top of the paropodium are called cirrus. Banded coral shrimp has a pan-tropical distribution extending into some temperate areas. It is found in the western Atlantic Ocean from Canada to Brazil, 4, including the Gulf of Mexico. 3, in Australia it is found as far south as Sydney, and it also occurs around New Zealand. The banded coral shrimp reaches a total length of 60 millimeters, 2.4 in, and has striking coloration. The ground color is transparent, but the carapace, abdomen and the large third paraeopod are all banded red and white. The antennae and other paraeopods are white. The abdomen, carapace and third paraeopods are covered in spines. It is a cleaner shrimp, and advertises to passing fish by slowly waving its long, white antennae. The banded coral shrimp uses its 3 pairs of claws to remove parasites, fungi and damaged tissue from the fish. A shy yellow-head jawfish sticking his head between the rocks. The yellow-headed jawfish is found in coral reefs in the Caribbean Sea. The head and upper body are light, but brilliant, yellow color slowly fading to a pearlescent blue hue. The mouth and jaws are enlarged, a signature of the jawfishes. It remains near its relatively small territory, and is typically seen with only the head and upper section of its body protruding from its burrow, although it sometimes can be found hovering nearby. It is able to arrange material using its mouth, carrying sand, shells, or small rocks from one location to another. It is the mouth brooder, with the male carrying the eggs in its mouth until they hatch. Yellowhead jawfish sticking his head in the sand. The yellowhead jawfish taking a little more confidence. Until his curiosity finally wins and comes out of hiding. A cleaning bee waiting for his next cleaning service. Gobies sometimes form symbiotic relationships with other species, such as with burrowing shrimps. The shrimp maintains a burrow in the sand in which both the shrimp and the bee live. The shrimp has poor eyesight compared to the bee, but if it sees or feels the bee suddenly swim into the burrow, it will follow. The bee and shrimp keep in contact with each other, the shrimp using its antennae, and the bee flicking the shrimp with its tail when alarmed. These gobies are thus sometimes known as watchmen or prawn gobies. Each party gains from this relationship. The shrimp gets a warning of approaching danger, and the bee gets a safe home and a place to lay its eggs. Only the alpha male and female reproduce. Other fish in the colony eat sparingly to resist being eaten by the alpha male or female. This way, only the largest and fittest are able to reproduce. Another example of symbiosis is demonstrated by the neon gobies. These gobies, known as planar gobies, remove parasites from the skin, fins, mouth, and gills of a wide variety of large fish. The most remarkable aspect of this symbiosis is many of the fish that visit the gobies cleaning stations would otherwise treat such small fish as food, for example, groupers and snapper. Again, this is a relationship where both parties gain. The gobies get a continual supply of food as bigger fish visit their cleaning stations, and the bigger fish leave the cleaning stations healthier than they were when they arrived. Cleaning bee on a knobby brain coral. Split ground feather duster. The split ground feather duster is in the same family as all the other feathered dusters. These can be several inches from side to side and are very sensitive to changes in light intensity or movement nearby. The radioles form an exquisitely delicate pattern, as is evident in this photo. Yellow tube tunicate. Of all the macroscopic creatures in the ocean, the invertebrates are the largest in number. Some scientists are sure that there are more invertebrates in the ocean than on land. Spotted drum. The spotted drum is a small fish, typically between 6 and 9 inches, that can occasionally be found on coral reefs in the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, Florida and Bahamas. It is frequently observed during the day under ledges or near the opening of small caves, at depths between 3 and 30 meters, where it swims in repetitive patterns. A nocturnal feeder, it leaves the protection of its daily shelter at night to feed. The Dominican Republic, or the DR as it is frequently called, a mountainous, lush country that comprises the eastern half of the island of Hispaniola, has been a popular Caribbean escape since Christopher Columbus first set foot on its shores in 1492. With 9 distinct ecological regions, the island attracts hikers, cavers, birders, culture hounds, and from December to April the famed offshore region of the Silver Bank fills with the haunting melody of woolsong, as humpback whales come to calve. Divers will find a wonderful array of diving off every coast, and each region has its signature dives and logbook essentials, including vibrant, fishy reefs and light beam-filled caverns. But, with a seafaring history that includes the first European to set foot in the Americas, divers tend to gravitate to a long list of brag-worthy wrecks, both natural and artificial, that date from the 16th century to the modern era. Warm water and generally good visibility make most of the Dominican Republic a year-round destination for divers of every level. Idea and production, Pedro Cart.